Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 12 of our 100 days of DevOps. If you're coming across this video for the very first time, so what we are doing is that we are trying to cover lots of DevOps concepts from scratch, from the beginning down to advanced concepts. We are trying to do that in about 100 days. And today, like I said, today is day 12. If you've not seen my previous videos, so you can also go back. You can start from day 1 to today, and then you can watch all the videos, because whatever we learn for a particular day is layered on what we've learned before, or the days before, so that everything is properly arranged, properly aligned, and we follow all due process. So we started our study on networking fundamentals about 4 days ago or 5 days ago. That was we started from day 8, because we first touched on Linux fundamentals, where we covered different commands that we use in Linux and different processes in Linux also. So we moved to networking starting from day 8, and on day 8 I remember I touched on ports, but I didn't really say so much about ports, and I feel the need to address that, to create a separate video on its own for understanding ports. It's not going to be a very long video. I just need to show us in a practical way, because what we want to do is not just understand the theoretical concept, but also be able to apply those things in practical, and to be able to know how things work practically. So that means today we're going to be looking at ports. Basically, that's just what we're going to look at today. Just ports and everything that we need to know about ports. So I'll go straight to my slide. So first off, let's define what port is. So according to the definition I have here, a port is a virtual endpoint on your computer that allows different network services and applications to communicate with each other, even when they are sharing the same network connection. So what does that mean? So I'm going to do some illustration. I did the same thing that I think on day 8, which is the first day. Let's say you have a computer, or let's call this a server. So you have a server, and now you have different applications on the server. Say you have about 3 to 4 applications on the server. So you have about 3 to 4 applications on the server. So if people want to communicate with these applications, how would they do that? Remember that a server will have a single IP address. Let's assume that the IP address of this server is let's say 192.168.24.3. Let's assume that the IP address of this server is 192.168.24.3. Now, how do I get through to this particular application on this server? So that's where the concept of ports come in. Ports is just like, imagine a building. There are different rooms in a building. So each room will have a door to enter the room. So the doorway to enter that room can be likened to being a port. So it's like an entrance through which you can get access to a particular application on a server. So that's the whole concept of ports. So it just helps to differentiate different applications on a server for ease of communication. So, and on that day, I said it always has the format. It always comes after the IP address. So you put something like a colon, and let's say we have we give this one ports 9,000. So it will be port. You just add 9,000 after the IP address. So this is basically how the format usually is. The port number always comes after the IP address. It comes with a colon, then the port number. That's after the IP address. So that's basically the whole concept of ports. So like I have on my screen also, there are about 65,535 available ports. That's as at the time that I'm recording this content. There are 65,535 available ports. In the next years, if this number increases, of course, you'll be updated. So I'm just going to give an example of some ports. I don't know if this is visible enough. So these are some common ports. You can see port 7, port 9, port 22, and some other numbers. So we can see it, and in front of it you will see that there's something called protocol. So protocol, which you see TCP and UDP. So on the first day of this networking fundamentals, which is also day 8, I talked about TCP and UDP. No, I think it's on the second day where I talked about OSI model, which is day 9. So on day 9, I covered TCP and UDP, and it's just basically like a transportation protocol. It's on the transportation layer of the OSI model. So basically, I said when it comes to speed, most times UDP has more speed than TCP, but when it comes to securing your data, like data security and then data properly arranged and all of that, so we use TCP because it's more secure than UDP. So a lot of these ports, some of them use TCP, some of them use UDP, while some of them uses both. For example, number 53, which is port 53, which is DNS. DNS can use TCP, DNS can use UDP. So, but there are some that it just has to be TCP. Like for example, now the FTPS, you can see also UDP, and example of the ones that use UDP is your NTP. So they are just different protocols that these ports use in communication. So also this is just like an overview of the different types of ports that are available. And the network ports are divided into 3 categories. So the categories we have are the well-known ports, the registered ports, and the dynamic ports. So port 0 to port 1023 are the well-known ports. These are the ones that are registered, that are well-known. If you go back to this place, you would see them from, you can see it up to, this is 1025. So yeah, so these are ports that are already registered that are new. For example, your FTP, which is on port 21, your SSH, which is on port 22, your HTTP, which is on port 80, your HTTPS, which is on port 443, and the likes. Those are well-known ports that have that you don't just assign to anybody because they are already well-known, they are already taken. So why the second part is the registered ports. Registered ports are different in the sense that a company can actually pick out a port and then go and register it, so that port will be registered to that company. So that is basically what a registered port is. For example, now you can see port 3306, which is my SQL. So now it's already registered. That port is already registered with my SQL. It's already registered with my SQL. For example, another example is port 8080, which is for Jenkins. It's already registered with Jenkins. So these are examples of there are so many like that. There's one for PostgreSQL. There's one for I think MongoDB. I think MongoDB is 27,100 and something. Yeah, so those are registered ports. So you as a company can pick a port that has not been registered, and then you go and register that port. So the moment you register that port, the port doesn't exactly become available to everybody, so that there will not be clashes or contradictions. So why the third category of port is the dynamic port. This is the port that is available to anybody. Anybody can use the port at any point, at any time. There will not be any issues. So these are the 3 types of ports. So what I've talked about so far, I've defined ports, we've established the purpose of ports, we've established the total number of ports, we've also established the types of ports. So let's get a little bit practical. Let's go to terminal, because like I said, we're going to do a little bit of practical today, unlike the first day where we just basically covered the concept so we understand. So like I always say, it's better to watch the previous videos before you come to this particular one, so that you don't miss out on any information, because there might be some things that I would not say here that I've said there. Some things that I might not remember to say on this particular video that I would have said on that other video where I talked about ports. So it's better you watch everything so that you don't miss out on any part of this journey. We're taking it one day at a time, one step at a time. So also in the beginning of this challenge, I also mentioned that as we progress in this challenge, you will be getting exposed, or you'll be getting introduced to some commands, and so far we have been doing that. So I covered in the Linux part, I covered like the general commands that we need to know, to be able to navigate Linux and all of that. But as I also mentioned that there are some commands that I would not cover there, that as we progress in the journey, I would be covering them. So today we are going to look at another command. So there are two commands to check your ports. The first command is netstat, while the second command is your ss. So for netstat and ss, basically they are the same thing, but netstat is like the older version of this particular command. So it's not available, it might not be available in some computers, like this particular one now. If I do netstat, it's saying command not found because it's not available on this my VM. If I want to have netstat, I have to go and use the sudo apt install netstat. But ss, which is the newer command, is available. So ss -tulp. So it shows you the port. So if you look at this place, you would see local address port. So this also confirms what I said earlier, that the port always comes after the IP address. So most of these ports, like this port 53 that you can see here, if you watched our session on DNS, you will see that port 53 was actually one of the ports that we were using for Google DNS. And I also mentioned that DNS most times uses UDP, not TCP. So you can see also here that you can see that the protocol that it's using is UDP, while the other ones are using TCP. So like I said, port 22, which is for your SSH. So this is basically how you check your port. So if I do ss-help, so when we go down, we used some flags, TUNLP. So what are these particular flags for? So if we go down, if we look for T, it's just showing displays only TCP socket. So this shows you TCP ports that are on TCP. So you can see U shows you ports that are on UDP. Then if you check for N, so it shows you the port number. So it just shows you the number of the port. Then the next is L, so it shows you the ports that are listening. And then the P here shows let's see, it shows the process that's the process using the socket. So these are just flags that you use to streamline what is actually shown to you. So I want to show the ports using TCP. I want to show the ports using UDP. I want to show the port number. I want to show the ports that are listening, and I want to show the process through which those ports are listening. So this is basically what this command does. So it shows you all the ports that are available, and it shows you their protocol, and it shows you listening. So now let's at another command I also want to introduce us to. Let me clear my screen. There's lsof. What this command means is list open files. So if you click on if you click on list open files, it just shows you all the open files that are available, and that includes your port number. So when I did lsof, it brought out a whole lot of things. So and we are going to streamline this to list what we want. We have -i, we have -n, and we have -p. So when I did this, now it's not bringing out any output. Let's see why. So now -i shows it's selecting IPv6 files. -n shows host name, while -P shows port number. So basically this VM, it's just a test VM. This VM is not running any workloads. This VM is not doing anything basically. I just created this VM for the purpose of this particular session that we are doing. And if you're here and you have not been able to create your VM, I would advise that you go to day one. We created a VM, an Ubuntu VM on day one. So you follow the steps, you follow the processes, and then you're able to create your VM. So there has not been any workload. I'm not doing anything with this VM. I only power on the VM whenever I want to do a recording. So this VM is not doing anything. So there are a lot of output that you would expect to see, but you will not see it. But I want to mention something. So when I did ss-tunlp, so yes, I want to talk about this part. So you see listen, you see unconnected and all that. So what does this actually mean? Let's go back to the slide. So now we are going to talk about port states and what they actually mean. So there are 4 states of four port states basically. There's a listening state, there's the established state, there's a closed state, there's a filtered state. So when you see a state that is showing listening, it shows that something is waiting for that connection. So if we go back to our terminal, so you can see port 22 is listening. So what does this mean? Port 22 is active. Any request that is made to that port, it is going to respond. And you can see that there's a star in front of it. Once you see a star in front of it, that means it's listening for all connections. So it's listening for, it's either you see a star or you see 0000. So if you see 0000, it's listening from all IP addresses. So this is what it actually means. If you see a star in front or you see 0000 in front, it means that it's listening from every angle. So another port, which another state is established. I'm going to show established. I think I should be able to do that. But then it means that a live connection is opened. A live connection is opened. So I'm going to also show, I'm going to bring this out in a couple of seconds. So when you see closed, it means that it's not even accepting traffic at all. So this has to now do with when you now go and consider firewalls, IP tables, and the likes. I think we are also going to talk about that probably maybe tomorrow, because we might talk about that tomorrow and all of that, because I think I need a separate day for firewalls. So I will talk about that maybe tomorrow, like I said. Then filter, that means something is blocking it. Okay. It's also here, something firewall and NAT is blocking it. Okay, so I missed this. Filtered is where there's an interruption regarding firewall and NAT and all of that. Maybe the network address, the NAT is not translating the correct IP to the correct host name. So closed means nothing is accepting traffic, like it's not even accepting traffic at all. It means that particular part is not accepting traffic. So let's see if I can get one that is established. Let's use lsof -i. So now if you want to check the status of a port, what is happening with that port, you use lsof-i, you do your colon and you type the port number. So let me see what is going on with port 22. So it's not showing, there should be a reason why it's supposed to show. Oh, okay, so I didn't use sudo, that's why. All right, so when you do sudo lsof-i, then port 22, you can see that port 22, it's established. And the reason why this is established is because this is actually, I'm using an SSH client. This is actually not the terminal of my virtual machine. This is what the terminal of my virtual machine looks like. So this is my Ubuntu virtual machine. This is what the terminal looks like. Let me log in from here. So this is what my virtual machine terminal looks like. You can see that it's the same thing. Virtuals at 100 days of DevOps. You can see that it's the same thing. But I'm not operating this virtual machine from the main terminal. I'm operating it through an SSH client. That's why you see that all this one is SSHD, SSHD. So it's a session from this particular SSH client that is making this port. That means it's already established. That means there's currently an ongoing communication, happening right now. You can see that it's listening and all of that. So you can basically just use this to monitor open ports, see the ports that are open, see the ports that are listening. If you have any issue, this is very, very good when it comes to troubleshooting. You can check for listening ports. You can check if one of the things that you need to check if you're trying to access an application with a port number on your virtual machine. The first thing you first go and check is you check if that port is actually listening. So if the port is not listening, then you know how to fix it. But if the port is listening, then you can go further and probe. You can see, maybe you can check your firewall rules. Maybe the firewall is stopping that port from communicating with the outside. So basically, these are some of the troubleshooting skills, troubleshooting knowledge you need to have when it comes to ports and networking. So I think there's one more thing, which is the port state. Okay. Or I think it's the same thing. So basically that is all I actually wanted to cover today. Like I said, it's going to be a very short session. I just wanted to brief us very well on ports and all that there is to it. So like I said, tomorrow I'll probably be talking about firewalls and the like. Then the day after we are going to wrap up. So you can watch this video. You can, if you have any questions, if you have any things that you don't understand, you can drop your questions, your comments in the comment section, and I'm going to do well to respond and reply to them. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Cheers.